We rely on WebGL, and it's been amazing watching. I remember the browser wars, many of us remember the browser wars, and the predictions that this was important because the operating system was going to get less and less relevant. And then I joined GrabCAD, and we are agnostic, and we do amazing things in the browser. And it sort of felt like I was having this conversation with somebody recently about, the Microsoft's determination, which proved to be illegal, to crush Netscape because they believed that the browser was going to become the home for apps is here. And I think WebGL is sort of making that happen, certainly in sort of graphics-related activities.
Actually, IronCAD is also working on the web version and for collaboration. But people can think about whether you're web-based or you're cloud-based. Basically, you have two things. One is where your design data stays. One is when you do any function. Do you do it locally or do it through the web, internet? The client server type things have been there for many, many years. Just the cloud service become a buzzword. But in terms of our customer, they collaborate. Basically, we're using the asynchronous type of collaboration. So anything, when I show this the video, a designer will have some designs published. Either way, you put it in a database and send a notification. If you have a membership, you probably have a different way of notification. Other people participate in the collaboration can grab the design information. So what we're working on, which we don't see anywhere at this point, is you can associate your design opinion to the design. Today, what people can use is a viewer with a markup, but that's probably good enough for some simple design change. But look at those sophisticated machine engine part. If you want to do some more difficult change in those geometry or other manufacturing details, is that the markup can make clear enough? So what we're working on is you have a way to attach all the design-related change opinion and let the designer and also even non-designer can understand what change you are proposing and be able to query, if I accept your design, what are my design attributes and the property will change, and do some comparison, then decide whether I will reject it or accept it. So people can do this through a common database and just have a membership to log in and share the design.
Now there are a lot of tools for people to share it, ideas and develop stuff online, but so what is happening when you have a kind of environment where you have maybe a couple people with some very clear ideas for how to kind of execute these ideas and people who really are kind of new to this kind of world?
One of the things we're seeing happening a lot is new people getting involved earlier. In fact, that's one of the things. A lot of our Workbench customers are design firms that are working with clients who don't have CAD. So in the past, they were taking screenshots and emailing the screenshots to their clients. Again, I'd show who here has taken screenshots of CAD and email? Thank you. Yeah. You should stop doing that, by the way. So they would take screenshots and email, and they get sketches back, people writing on it. But they would do that relatively late in the game, or they would do more formal design reviews. And I was an engineer at one point, and those of us who are engineers kind of dread design reviews because you've done a lot of hard work, and you're going to walk into a room and a bunch of people are going to yell ideas at you, and you're going to write them all down and go back to your desk. And what we think we're seeing a little bit in Workbench is because the barrier for communication is a lot lower, you can get that feedback much earlier in the process. And there's a famous chart that probably many of you have seen about the ability to have impact on a project and the time people actually give it, and they are inversely related. People tend to give lots of feedback late in the game when it's too late to make the change. And so what we think we're seeing people do with Workbench is, because now it's super easy for me to share something with you, it's easy for you to get in and look at it, and you can make comments even if you're not a CAD user. So you can simply write comments, you can sketch on the drawing, you can put a pin. We keep this sort of comment feed that looks a little bit like Facebook, where you can make comments, people can respond to them. It's a much more human interaction. And it makes it easy for folks that are not engineers, that are not CAD users, to say, that looks too big to me. Or a supplier to say, hey, that hole, if you moved over half an inch, it'd be cheaper to make. And you can do it much earlier in the process. And we're starting to see that happen.
Two questions in your question, one around IP and one around security. Around IP, at Sketchfab, we're really like YouTube in the sense that each people putting stuff there is responsible for it. And we just have to remove it if someone wants it to be removed. And about security, as soon as you want to publish something, same goes with any media online, YouTube or SoundCloud. you have to be aware that like advanced hackers can get in some ways. If you can see it, someone can get parts of it. So you can easily put stuff private on Sketchfab and password protect them if you want to really have high security. But in the end, we're all about publishing stuff and reaching more people, and with this trade-off.
Yeah, Sketchfab, at least from I've used it a little, and my understanding is it's much more about sharing and well, it's more like GrabCAD traditionally, rather than GrabCAD Workbench, which is kind of more project-based.
So we have more than 10,000 users of Workbench, which we just launched publicly 2 months ago. So overall, it's getting a lot of interest. And I think the next step is around engagement. So we're seeing a lot of people trying to figure out what they need to change about their process to really use this tool. Who am I going to use it for? So is it something I'm going to use primarily with suppliers who are getting quotes from them? In which case I'll turn off the ability to download the model and things like that. Am I using it on the sales side? Salespeople love it because it gives them access to data that they never had before. They had to go bother the engineers to get the drawing, and the engineers never wanted to take the time to give them the 3D model. So the sales team loves it. I'd say the engineering organization is still a little bit uncertain. They love the idea that they're not going to waste a half hour, an hour every now and then preparing slideshows for other people. But they also see, hey, this is another tool, it's something else I got to learn. It's something else I'm going to have to introduce people to, and no one is eager to go sign up for something else.
So one of the things I found with just with the web in general is a lot of the traditional CAD companies in the current, a lot of the CAD products, but the SolidWorks, Autodesk products, and Pro Engineering, they've been kind of slow to embrace the web, and it sounds like IronCAD is kind of you're tackling that challenge. It sounds like what you're working on is you're kind of trying to change that a little bit. Is that?
Actually, not precisely. At least in my personal opinion, for designer, their day in, day out work, I think that's still many years away to do it online. But for collaboration, absolutely it's online. So my belief is people are going to still using a laptop or desktop to do their daily design work, but they save their design information probably in their centralized server. Then through some collaboration tool, they can communicate. That's what I believe. Now, right or wrong, we can see it.